Call sign, now! The three-star general's voice thundered through the room. 30 Navy SEALs and Delta operators stared at the woman standing alone before them. They had laughed at her seconds ago, mocked her size, questioned her presence. But when she lifted her chin and spoke two words, every laugh died in every throat. Specter 6. A coffee cup shattered on the concrete floor. A SEAL who had killed 40 men stopped breathing. The most dangerous warriors in America went pale. Because the ghost they had whispered about in the darkness, the legend they swore was impossible, had just looked them in the eyes. And she was real. Before we continue, subscribe to our channel and follow this story to the very end. Comment below, tell us what city you are watching from. We love seeing how far these stories travel. 47 hours. General Raymond Cross stared at the men in front of him. The best America had. SEALs, Delta, Green Berets. Every one of them had killed more enemies than they could count. None of them had an answer. 47 hours before they start executing our boys on camera. Cross's voice cracked. One by one, broadcast live into the whole damn world. Master Chief Vincent Cole shifted in his seat. 15 years special operations, 2 silver stars. He'd never seen the general like this. Sir, we've run every scenario. They run them again. General, the valley is a fortress. They've got SAMs covering every air corridor, eyes on every approach. We go loud, they hear us 10 miles out. We go quiet, we don't have the firepower. Cross slammed his palm on the table. Then find me someone who does. Silence. The clock on the wall kept ticking. Every second felt like a countdown to a funeral. Cole took a breath. Sir, there's talk. Talk. A call sign, Specter 6. Cole paused. 47 extractions, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, 0 casualties, every single time. Petty Officer Derek Hayes snorted from the back, built like a tank mouth like a machine gun. Specter 6. That's a fairy tale, Chief. Something they tell boots to help them sleep. I've seen the files. Files can be faked. These weren't. Cross turned slowly, his eyes locked on Cole. Get me this operator. I don't care what channels you burn. I don't care whose desk you have to break down. Get me Specter 6, now. Sir, nobody knows who. That's an order, Master Chief. Cole nodded once. Yes, sir. 2 hours. The longest 2 hours of Raymond Cross's life. He stood at the window, staring at nothing. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. He shoved them in his pockets so no one would see. 12 soldiers, captured, beaten, waiting to die. And one of them was his son, Daniel, 25 years old, first deployment. The kid had begged to serve, begged to follow his old man's footsteps. Cross had approved the convoy route himself, told Daniel it was safe. He was wrong. The door opened behind him. Sir, Cole's voice. She's here. Cross didn't turn around. She, the operator, sir, Specter 6. Now he turned. The woman standing in the doorway was small, 5'4", maybe 5'5". Lean, no medals on her chest, no ribbons, nothing that screamed special operations. She looked like someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone you'd pass on the street and never notice. Hayes was the first to react. He leaned toward the SEAL beside him, voice dripping with disbelief. That's our rescue. She looks like she couldn't carry her own gear. Laughter rippled through the back rows. The woman didn't flinch. She walked forward, steady, controlled, stopping exactly 3 feet from Cross. Her eyes swept the room once fast, calculating, then locked on him. Cross studied her face. Young, early 30s maybe, but her eyes were older, much older. You're what they sent me. Yes, sir. And unit. Captain Sarah Mitchell, Tier 1 asset. Hayes laughed again, louder this time. Tier 1, which Tier 1? The one that does paperwork. More laughter. Sarah didn't look at him, didn't acknowledge his existence. Her focus stayed on Cross. I asked for Specter 6, Cross said. I asked for the best operator in the United States military, and they sent me. He gestured at her, unable to finish the sentence. I know what you asked for, sir. Then where is he? Sarah's expression didn't change, but something shifted behind her eyes. Something cold. Something ancient. You're looking at her. The laughter died. Hayes straightened in his chair. The smirk vanished from his face like someone had slapped it off. Cole felt his heart stop. He'd read those classified fragments. He knew what Specter 6 had done. Operations so dark they didn't officially exist. Extractions so impossible they shouldn't have worked. And the operator behind all of it was this woman. Cross took a step closer. His voice dropped low. "Say that again, loud enough for every man in this room to hear." Sarah lifted her chin. Her voice carried no ego, no pride, just fact. Specter 6. The effect was instant. A Delta operator's coffee cup slipped from his fingers, shattered on the concrete. Nobody moved. Hayes's face went white. The SEAL next to him stopped breathing. Across the room, someone whispered, "Holy shit, she's real." Cole gripped the edge of the table. His knuckles went white. He had spent years hearing rumors about Specter 6, whispers in dark corners. Stories passed between operators like ghost tales. He'd never believed them. Now he did. Cross stared at her. His jaw worked silently for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. Raqqa, 2016. 23 operators trapped in a collapsing building. ISIS closing in from all sides. Air support 40 minutes out. Yes, sir. Every single one of them walked out alive. Yes, sir. How? Sarah's lips curved, not quite a smile. Classified, sir, even from you. The room went dead silent. Nobody talked to a 3-star general like that. Nobody. But Cross didn't explode. He didn't dress her down. Instead, he laughed. Short, bitter, exhausted. Classified, of course. He rubbed his face with both hands. Suddenly, he looked every one of his 62 years. Captain Mitchell, I'm going to level with you. No politics, no protocol, just the truth. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a photograph. His hands shook as he placed it on the table. Lieutenant Daniel Cross, 25 years old, first deployment. Sarah looked at the photo. Young man, strong jaw, hopeful eyes. He's my son. The words hung in the air like smoke. He was leading a supply convoy through the valley when they hit. Professional ambush. They knew exactly where and when to strike. Cross's voice cracked. I approved the route. I told him it was safe. I sent my boy into a trap. Sarah said nothing. She just listened. I've commanded thousands of soldiers, sent men to die, made peace with it. But this, he turned away, his shoulders heaved. This is my boy, and I can't, his voice broke completely. The room was frozen. Every operator present felt the weight crushing down on them. The unbreakable general finally broken. Sarah picked up the photograph, studied it, then looked back at Cross. General, look at me. He turned. His eyes were red, but his jaw was set. I'm going to bring your son home, Sarah said. Him and every other man they took. That's not a promise. That's a fact. Cross stared at her. How can you be so sure? Because I don't fail, not ever, and I'm not starting now. Damn. The briefing room cleared. Only essential operators remained. Cole and his SEALs, Sergeant First Class Marcus Webb with his Delta Squad, 2 Green Berets who specialized in mountain warfare. They gathered around the tactical table. Maps, satellite images, red circles marking danger zones. Sarah stood at the head. Every man in that room had more visible muscle than her, more combat decorations, more years in the field. None of them spoke first. The Korangal Valley, Sarah said, 14 miles long, 6,000 feet elevation change. The Taliban have been fighting here for 40 years. They know every rock, every shadow, every approach. Webb crossed his arms. Tell us something we don't know. Fine, Sarah pointed at the map. There's a tunnel network running through the eastern ridge, Soviet-era mining shafts, expanded by the Mujahideen in the 80s. Most entrances collapsed, but one is still open. Hayes shook his head. And you know this how exactly? Because I've used it twice. Silence. Cole leaned forward. You've operated in the Korangal before, both times classified. Her eyes met his. I know this valley, Master Chief. I know where they hide, I know how they move, and I know how to get your men in unseen. Webb wasn't convinced. Even if we infiltrate, we don't know where they're holding the hostages. Intel gives us a 2-square-mile search radius. We can't clear that quietly. Then we don't clear it. Meaning, Sarah's expression shifted. Something predatory entered her eyes. We give them a target they can't resist. Something valuable enough that they consolidate defenses around the hostages. Cole felt a chill crawl up his spine. What kind of target? Sarah looked at him. Her voice was calm, matter of fact. Me. Yeah. The room erupted. That's insane. You'll be dead in 5 minutes. This isn't a rescue plan. It's suicide. Sarah waited for the noise to die down. Then she spoke again, her voice cutting through like a blade. I didn't say I'd go in alone. I said I'd be the target. She pointed at the map. I approach from the west, visible. Just enough threat to make them think I'm the assault force. They'll pull security around the hostages. That's protocol for all of them. Protects their leverage, but she tapped 3 positions. While they're focused on me, your teams enter through the tunnels. Hit these points simultaneously. By the time they realize the real threat is behind them, the hostages are already out. Cole studied the map. His mind ran calculations. The plan was insane, reckless, suicidal. It was also brilliant. What happens to you, he asked quietly. While they're focused on you, Sarah shrugged. I do what I do. I survive. That's not a plan. That's hope. No. Her eyes locked on his. Hope is what you have when you're out of options. I always have options. They just require skills most operators don't have. It should have sounded arrogant. From anyone else it would have. From her, it sounded like fact. Webb uncrossed his arms. Captain, with all respect, you're talking about taking on an entire enemy position solo. The best operators in the world work in teams. That's how we survive. Sarah turned to face him. Her expression softened slightly. Sergeant Webb, I'm not trying to survive. I'm trying to bring 12 men home. If those goals line up, great. If they don't, she left it unfinished. Cole stared at her. In that moment, he understood something no file had ever conveyed. Specter 6 wasn't fearless. She was simply willing to pay a price no one else would pay. And that made her the most dangerous person he had ever met. Midnight. Bagram was quiet. Operators had retreated to their racks for whatever sleep they could steal before the mission. Cole found Sarah behind the operations center. She was staring at the mountains. The Korangal was invisible from here, hidden behind ridges and darkness, but she stared anyway. He approached slowly. Can't sleep. Don't sleep before missions. Sleep is for people who plan on coming back. Cole stopped beside her. You really believe that you might not make it? Sarah turned. In the dim light, her features looked carved from stone. Master Chief, 8 years. Every mission I accept, it might be my last. Makes me sharper, faster. Fear assumes you have got something to lose. And you don't. Her expression flickered. Just for a second. Not anymore. Cole waited. She turned back to the mountains. When she spoke, her voice was different, quieter, heavier. I had a brother, Tommy, Special Forces, best person I ever knew. She paused. He was captured in Iraq, 2007. They never found him. Cole said nothing. My mother waited by the phone every night, sat in the living room, stared at the front door, convinced he'd walk through. Sarah's jaw tightened. She died waiting. The weight of those words settled between them like stone. Every soldier I bring home is someone's Tommy, someone's son, someone's brother. Her voice hardened. That's why I do this. Not for glory, not for medals, for the mothers still waiting by the phone. She turned and walked back toward the barracks. She didn't say goodbye, didn't offer comfort, just disappeared into the darkness like smoke. Cole stood alone for a long time. Tomorrow they would fly into hell. Tomorrow they would face impossible odds. And tomorrow, for the first time in his 15-year career, Vincent Cole would follow someone into battle, not because orders demanded it, but because he believed. Specter 6 wasn't a legend. She was a promise. And God help anyone who got in her way. 300 hours. The operations tent hummed with last-minute preparations. Cross stood at the entrance, watching his operators gear up, SEALs checking weapons, Delta loading magazines, Green Berets reviewing terrain maps one final time. Sarah emerged from the shadows. Her gear was minimal. Rifle, sidearm, knife. Nothing else. Cross blocked her path. Captain? General. My son. His voice was raw. If it comes down to a choice, it won't. But if it does, Sarah cut him off. General Cross, I don't make choices like that. Everyone comes home. That's not negotiable. Cross stared at her, searching for doubt, finding none. How, he whispered. How are you so certain? Sarah glanced at the mountains. The first hint of dawn was creeping over the ridgeline. In a few hours, she would be walking into a valley that had swallowed armies. Because I made a promise, she said quietly, a long time ago, to someone I couldn't save. She looked back at Cross. Her eyes burned with something that went beyond duty, beyond training, beyond anything the military could teach. I keep my promises, General, every single one. She walked past him toward the waiting helicopters. Cross watched her go. The rotors began to spin, dust kicked up, operators loaded in, and Raymond Cross did something he hadn't done in 30 years of service. He prayed. The Black Hawk's rotors sliced through the pre-dawn darkness. Sarah sat near the door, eyes closed, breathing steady. Around her, 18 operators gripped their rifles and said nothing. The tension was thick enough to choke on. Cole watched her from across the cabin. She hadn't moved in 20 minutes, hadn't checked her gear, hadn't reviewed the mission brief. She just sat there still as stone, like she was already somewhere else. Hayes leaned toward Cole, shouting over the rotor noise. She's either the real deal or completely insane. Cole didn't answer. He was starting to think she might be both. The pilot's voice crackled through their headsets. 10 minutes to insertion. LZ is cold. No movement detected. Webb checked his magazine for the 5th time. Old habit, kept the hands busy when the mind wanted to panic. Cold LZ in the Korengal. That's a first. Maybe they don't know we're coming, one of the Green Berets offered. Sarah opened her eyes. They know. Every head turned toward her. They've known since we left Bagram. They have spotters on every ridge within 50 miles. By now, they've already moved additional fighters to the valley. Hayes's face went pale. Then why the hell are we still flying into it? Because they're expecting a conventional assault, air support, heavy armor, standard extraction protocol. Sarah's voice was calm, almost bored. They're not expecting me. The helicopter banked hard. Sarah grabbed a handhold steady as a cat. 2 minutes, the pilot announced. Cole stood and addressed his team. Listen up. We hit the ground, we move fast and quiet. Specter 6 takes point. Nobody deviates from the plan. Nobody plays hero. We follow her lead or we die. Understood. Understood, came the chorus. Sarah was already at the door. The wind tore at her uniform. Below, the mountains rose like black teeth against the gray sky. She looked back at the operators. 18 men, fathers, sons, brothers, every one of them was trusting her with their lives. Stay close, she said. Stay quiet. And when I tell you to move, you move. No hesitation, no questions. The helicopter touched down. Boots hit dirt. Bodies scattered into the darkness. And just like that, they were in the valley of death. The first hour was silent. Too silent. They moved through terrain that should have been crawling with enemy fighters. Nothing. No patrols. No sentries. No signs of life. Webb crept up beside Cole. This doesn't feel right. I know. It's like they cleared out. Or they're waiting. Sarah raised her fist. Everyone froze. She crouched low, her head tilting slightly. Listening. Reading something in the silence that no one else could hear. 200 meters ahead, she whispered into her comms. 4 men, dug in behind the rock formation. They're watching the main approach. Hayes squinted into the darkness. I don't see anything. You won't. Not until they're shooting at you. Cole trusted her. He didn't know why, but he did. Options. I go around, take them quietly. You hold here. Alone. Sarah was already moving. 2 minutes. She disappeared into the shadows like she'd never existed. Cole counted the seconds. His heart pounded against his ribs. 1 minute, 90 seconds. 2 minutes. Nothing. Hayes shifted nervously. Maybe she... 3 soft pops echoed across the rocks. Suppressed fire. Then silence. Sarah's voice came through the comms, steady as ever. Clear. Move up. They advanced. 4 bodies lay behind the rock formation. Clean shots, center mass. Not a single one had gotten off a round. Webb stared at the scene. She took out 4 armed fighters in under 2 minutes. By herself. Cole said nothing, but something in his chest tightened. He was starting to understand why they called her a ghost. They pushed deeper into the valley. The terrain grew rougher, steeper. Every step felt like walking into a trap that hadn't sprung yet. Sarah stopped again. Her hand went up. "What now?" Hayes whispered. She didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on something ahead, something none of them could see. "Change of plans," she said quietly. Cole moved to her side. "Talk to me." "The tunnel entrance is compromised. They've got a machine gun nest covering it, at least 8 fighters. Can we go around? No, that's the only way in." Sarah's jaw tightened. Someone talked. The words hit like a punch to the gut. Cole felt his blood run cold. "What do you mean someone talked?" The tunnel location was classified. Only a handful of people knew about it. JSOC Command, General Cross, and whoever briefed the mission. Sarah turned to face him. "Someone in that chain sold us out." Webb pushed forward. "That's impossible. Everyone in that briefing room has been vetted 100 times over." "Then explain how they knew exactly where to set up." No one had an answer. Cole's mind raced. A mole, someone on the inside, someone who had sent them walking into an ambush. "What do we do?" he asked. Sarah stared at the machine gun position. Her expression shifted. The calm calculation was still there, but now there was something else, something harder. "I'm going to take that nest. When it goes quiet, you move. Get to the tunnel. Get inside. I'll catch up." "That's suicide." "No, it's mathematics." She checked her rifle. 8 of them, 1 of me. But they don't know I'm coming. That changes the odds. Cole grabbed her arm. "Mitchell, Sarah, listen to me. You don't have to do this. We can find another way." She looked at his hand on her arm, then at his face. Her expression softened slightly. "Master Chief, your job is to get those hostages out. My job is to make sure you can." She pulled free. "Don't waste the opening I give you." Before he could respond, she was gone. The next 3 minutes were the longest of Vincent Cole's life. He heard nothing, saw nothing. The machine gun position was 200 meters away, hidden behind a ridge. Anything could be happening up there. Then the silence shattered. Gunfire erupted, short bursts, return fire, shouts in Pashto, then more gunfire, then nothing. Cole held his breath. Sarah's voice came through the comms, breathing hard this time, first sign of exertion he'd ever heard from her. "Nest is down, path is clear. Move now." They ran. When they reached the position, 8 bodies lay scattered across the rocks. Blood pooled beneath them. Shell casings glittered in the dim light. Sarah stood at the center, reloading her rifle. A streak of blood ran down her left arm. "You're hit," Cole said. "By graze. Doesn't matter." She pointed toward a dark opening in the hillside. "Tunnel's there. We've got maybe 10 minutes before they realize this position went silent." They moved into the tunnel. The darkness swallowed them whole. Hayes flicked on his weapon light. The beam cut through the black, revealing ancient walls carved from solid rock. Soviet engineering, built to last. "Cozy," he muttered. "Lights off," Sarah ordered. "What? We can't see." "They can't either, but they know this tunnel better than you. Light makes you a target." Hayes killed the light. Darkness crashed back in. They moved by feel, by instinct. Sarah led them through twists and turns that seemed impossible to navigate blind, but she never hesitated, never faltered. Webb moved up beside Cole. His voice was barely a whisper. "How does she know where she's going?" "I don't know, Dan. It's like she's been here before." "She said she had, twice." "Yeah, but..." Webb trailed off. There was no way to finish that sentence. After what felt like an eternity, Sarah stopped. "We're underneath the compound." Cole's heart rate spiked. "The hostages should be directly above us, maybe 50 meters east." She paused. "But there's a problem." "Of course there is. I'm picking up vibrations. Heavy movement. More fighters than there should be." Hayes groaned. "How many more?" "A lot more." Cole ran the numbers in his head. They had 18 operators, limited ammunition, no air support. If the enemy had reinforced significantly, We're walking into a massacre, Webb said. Not if we're smart. Sarah crouched down. Her fingers traced something on the tunnel floor. There's a junction ahead, splits into 3 passages. One leads to the hostages, one leads to the main barracks, one leads outside. Which is which? That's what I need to find out. She stood. I'll scout ahead. Give me 5 minutes. Cole shook his head. No, you've already been hit once. You go alone again, you might not come back. I always come back. Not this time. Cole turned to his team. Jenkins, Torres, you go with her, cover her flanks. 2 SEALs stepped forward, young, eager, good men. Sarah looked at them, then at Cole. Something passed between them, an understanding. 5 minutes, she said, stay quiet. They vanished into the darkness. Cole waited. The seconds crawled by like hours. Around him, operators checked their weapons for the 100th time. Fingers twitched, jaws clenched. Every man felt the weight of what was coming. 4 minutes passed. Hayes shifted. They should be back by now. She said 5 minutes. Something's wrong. I can feel it. Cole felt it too. That prickle at the back of his neck. The instinct that had kept him alive through 15 years of combat. Then the silence broke. Gunfire. Distant but unmistakable. Automatic weapons. Return fire. Shouting. Contact! Jenkins' voice exploded through the comms. We've got contact. They were waiting for us. Cole was already moving. All units push forward, now! They ran through the darkness. Muzzle flashes ahead lit the tunnel in strobing bursts of white and orange. The sound was deafening. Confined space. Nowhere for the noise to go. Cole rounded a corner and nearly tripped over a body. Taliban fighter. Dead. Clean shot through the throat. Sarah's work. He pushed on. More bodies, more blood. The tunnel floor was slick with it. Jenkins Torres report. Static. Then Sarah's voice. Calm. Too calm. Jenkins is down. Torres is hit but mobile. I'm engaging. Cole's blood went cold. Down. That meant dead or dying. Where are you? East Passage, 30 meters ahead. They've got the junction locked down. He saw it now. Muzzle flashes ahead. Enemy fighters dug into defensive positions at the tunnel junction. At least a dozen of them. Webb slid in beside him. We're pinned. I know. We push through that we lose half the team. I know. Hayes crawled up on his other side. So what do we want? Cole opened his mouth to answer. He didn't have one. Then Sarah's voice came through again. On my signal, push left, hard and fast. Don't stop until you reach the East Passage. What signal? You'll know it. 3 seconds passed. Then the tunnel exploded with light. Not an explosion, something else. A flare. A series of flares. Blinding white phosphorus bursting in the junction, turning the darkness into noon. The enemy fighters screamed, covered their eyes, stumbled. Move, Cole roared. They pushed. 18 operators surging forward like a tidal wave, rifles up, triggers down. The junction became a killing ground. When the light faded, 12 enemy fighters lay dead. Sarah emerged from the shadows, Torres leaning on her shoulder. The younger SEAL's leg was soaked with blood. He needs a medic, she said, but he'll live. Cole looked at her, really looked at her. Blood on her face, blood on her hands, eyes that had seen too much death to be surprised by any of it. Jenkins, he asked. Sarah's expression didn't change. Took 3 rounds covering my approach. He died fast. Hayes punched the tunnel wall. Damn it. Mourn later, Sarah said. Move now. They know we're here. We've got maybe 5 minutes before reinforcements flood these tunnels. She was right. Cole knew she was right. But leaving a man behind, even a dead one, went against everything he believed. Sarah read his face. Master Chief, I'll come back for him, I promise. But if we don't get those hostages, now Jenkins died for nothing. Cole swallowed hard. Move out. They pushed into the East Passage. Faster now. No more stealth. Speed was survival. 2 minutes later, they hit a steel door. Webb tested it. Locked. Heavy gauge. We'll need breaching charges. No time. Sarah stepped forward. She pulled something from her vest. A small device Cole didn't recognize. She pressed it against the lock. 3 seconds later, it clicked open. Hayes stared. What the hell was that? Trade secret. Sarah pushed the door open. Stay behind me. Shh. They moved through another tunnel, shorter, ending in another door. Sarah stopped. Cole saw it in her posture. Something was wrong. What is it? They're behind this door, the hostages. She paused. But there's something else. What? I don't know yet. She turned to face the team. Whatever happens next, your priority is getting those 12 men out. Nothing else matters. Not me, not anything. Understood. Cole nodded. Understood. Sarah took a breath. Then she kicked the door in. The room beyond was larger than expected. Dirt floor, stone walls, dim lighting from a single lantern, and 12 American soldiers, bound, bloodied, barely conscious, but alive. Cole's heart slammed against his ribs. They had done it. They had actually found them. Get them up, he ordered. Get them moving. Operators rushed forward, cutting bonds, helping the hostages to their feet. Weak, dehydrated, but alive. Webb found Lieutenant Daniel Cross slumped against the far wall. The general's son. His face was swollen beyond recognition. Both eyes blackened, blood crusted around his nose and mouth. Lieutenant, can you hear me? Daniel's eyes fluttered open, confused, terrified. Who? We're getting you out. Your father sent us. Something broke in the young man's face, relief, disbelief, gratitude crashing together like waves. My dad, he really did. Webb helped him to his feet. Can you walk? I'll crawl if I have to. Cole counted heads, 12 hostages, all accounted for, all breathing. He turned to Sarah, ready to call the extraction. She wasn't there. He spun around, scanned the room. Nothing. Where's Mitchell? Hayes looked up from securing a hostage. She was right behind me. She's not here now. Webb's face went pale. The other door. There was another door at the back of the room. I saw it when we came in. Cole's stomach dropped. She went through. She must have. Why the hell would she? Gunfire exploded from somewhere beyond the back door. Single shots, controlled, then return fire. A lot of return fire. Cole made his decision in a heartbeat. Webb, get the hostages to the extraction point. Hayes, you're with me. Cole, wait. But Cole was already running. He burst through the back door into another passage, shorter, ending in a larger chamber. What he saw there stopped him cold. Sarah stood in the center of the room. Her rifle was aimed at a man kneeling on the ground, an American, wearing the uniform of a U.S. Army captain. And behind that man, a camera, recording. Don't move, Sarah said. Her voice was ice. The kneeling man looked up. His face was calm, almost amused. Ah, Specter 6. I wondered when you'd figure it out. Cole raised his weapon. What the hell is going on here? Sarah didn't take her eyes off the kneeling man. Master Chief, meet Captain William Garrett, military intelligence, assigned to JSOC Command. And he's the one who sold out our mission. Cole's blood turned to ice. What? He fed the Taliban our insertion point, our tunnel route, our timing, everything. Sarah's finger tightened on the trigger. He's the reason they were waiting for us. The reason Jenkins is dead. Garrett laughed, actually laughed. You're smarter than they said. I'll give you that. Why? Cole demanded. Why would you betray your own people? Garrett's smile faded. You think this is about money, about ideology? He shook his head. This is about power. The people I work for want this war to continue, want the chaos, want the bodies, because chaos creates opportunities, and opportunities create profit. Hayes aimed his rifle at Garrett's head. I should kill you right now. You could, but then you'd never know how deep this goes, how many others are involved. Garrett looked at Sarah. She knows. Don't you, Specter? You've seen the files. You know what's really happening in this valley. Sarah's expression didn't change, but Cole saw something flicker in her eyes. Recognition. He's stalling, she said. Reinforcements are coming. We need to move. What about him? We take him. He has information we need. Garrett laughed again. You think I'm going to talk? You think? Sarah moved faster than Cole could track. One moment she was standing 3 feet away. The next she had Garrett's arm twisted behind his back, his face pressed into the dirt. You'll talk, she said quietly. Everyone talks eventually. She zip-tied his wrists and hauled him to his feet. Move, Now. They ran back through the passage, back to the hostage room. It was empty now. Webb had gotten them out. Extraction point is 200 meters north, Cole said into his comms. What's your status? Webb's voice came back strained. We're moving but slow. Some of these guys can barely walk. Do what you have to. We're right behind you. They pushed through the tunnels. Garrett stumbled. Sarah dragged him forward without breaking stride. Behind them, shouts echoed. Boots on stone. The enemy was coming. Faster, Sarah ordered. They burst into open air. Dawn had broken. The mountains were painted gold and pink. Beautiful. Deadly. The Blackhawks were already inbound. Cole could hear the rotors in the distance. 1 minute out, the pilot announced. 1 minute. They just had to survive 1 more minute. Gunfire erupted from the tree line. Bullets snapped past Cole's head. He dove for cover, dragging Garrett down with him. Contact east. Hayes opened fire. At least 20 fighters. This was it, the final push. Everything they had. Sarah was already moving, not for cover. Forward, toward the enemy. Mitchell, Cole screamed. What are you doing? She didn't answer. She was running straight into the gunfire. Cole watched in disbelief as she moved through the chaos like water through rocks. Bullets that should have killed her missed by inches. Her rifle barked once, twice, 3 times. Bodies dropped. She reached a small rise and dropped to one knee. From that position, she had a clear line on the enemy flank. Push now, she yelled into the comms. I'll cover. Cole didn't hesitate. All units moved to the extraction point. Move. They ran, 18 operators plus 12 hostages plus 1 traitor, running for their lives. Sarah's rifle kept firing, steady, precise. Every shot meant 1 less enemy gun shooting at their backs. The Blackhawks touched down, rotors screaming, dust flying everywhere. Load them up, Cole ordered. Get everyone on board. Operators shoved hostages into the helicopters. Webb carried Daniel Cross over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes. Cole turned back. Sarah was still on the rise, still firing, enemy rounds kicking up dirt all around her. Mitchell, time to go? She didn't move. Sarah, still nothing. Cole started running toward her. He made it 10 feet before Hayes tackled him. She's covering us. If you go back, she can't shoot. I'm not leaving her. She knows what she's doing. Cole struggled, watched, prayed. Sarah kept firing, kept dropping targets, kept holding the line. Then she moved. She sprinted from the rise toward the helicopters, faster than should have been possible with that wounded arm. Bullets chasing her every step. 20 meters, 10, 5. She dove into the Blackhawk just as the pilot lifted off. The ground fell away. The enemy fire faded into the distance. They were out. Cole stared at Sarah. She lay on the helicopter floor breathing hard, blood seeping from her arm, dirt and gunpowder covering her face. But she was smiling. 12 hostages, she said between breaths, all alive, plus 1 prisoner who's going to tell us everything. Cole shook his head. You're insane. You know that, completely insane. Sarah closed her eyes. I've been called worse. Below them, the Korengal Valley disappeared into the morning mist. They had gone into the valley of death, and against all odds, they had walked out alive. But Cole knew this wasn't over. Garrett's words echoed in his mind. How deep this goes. How many others are involved. They had saved 12 men today, but the war was just beginning. The Blackhawk touched down at Bagram in a storm of dust and chaos. Medics rushed forward before the rotors stopped spinning. Stretchers appeared, IV bags, oxygen masks. The 12 hostages were pulled from the helicopter one by one, their battered bodies finally in friendly hands. Cole stepped onto the tarmac and felt his legs nearly give out. Adrenaline was fading. Reality was setting in. They had done the impossible. They had walked into hell and walked back out. But Jenkins hadn't. He pushed the thought aside. Later. He would mourn later. General Cross was already running across the tarmac. A 3-star general running like a desperate father. Because that's exactly what he was. Daniel Webb was carrying the lieutenant over his shoulder. He set the young man down gently as Cross reached them. Father and son looked at each other for a long moment. Then Cross grabbed his boy and held him like he would never let go. I'm sorry, Daniel whispered. His voice was broken, barely audible. Dad, I'm so sorry I got captured. I failed. You didn't fail anything. Cross's voice cracked. Tears streamed down his face. A three-star general crying in front of his men. Nobody looked away. Nobody judged. You're alive. That's all that matters. You're alive. Cole watched the reunion, felt something loosen in his chest. This was why they did it. This moment right here. Then he turned and saw Sarah. She had refused medical attention, stood apart from the crowd, her wounded arm hanging at her side. Blood had soaked through the makeshift bandage. Her face was pale. Too pale. Mitchell, you need to see a medic. I need to interrogate Garrett. You need to not bleed to death. Sarah looked at him, those ancient eyes. Master Chief, that man knows things. Things that could save hundreds of lives, thousands. Every minute we waste is a minute he uses to build his defenses. And if you collapse from blood loss, then you take over. She started walking toward the operations center. But I won't collapse. Cole watched her go. Then he followed. Because what else could he do? They had thrown Garrett into a holding room. Concrete walls, steel door, no windows. 2 MPs stood guard outside. Sarah walked in without knocking. Cole followed. Hayes positioned himself by the door. Garrett sat at a metal table, hands still zip-tied in front of him. He looked up when they entered, smiled. Specter 6, I knew you'd come. Sarah pulled out a chair, sat down across from him. Her wounded arm rested on the table. Blood dripped onto the metal surface. You're going to tell me everything. Am I? Yes, you are. Garrett leaned back. And why would I do that? What could you possibly offer me that would make betraying my employers worth it? Nothing. Sarah's voice was flat. I'm not offering you anything. I'm telling you what's going to happen. Threats from you. Garrett laughed. I've been threatened by men who make you look like a child. Men with power you can't imagine. I'm not threatening you. Sarah leaned forward. I'm explaining reality. You see, I've read your file. I know who you are. I know where you came from. I know about your wife, your daughter, Madison Wright. She's 7 years old, goes to Hillcrest Elementary in Virginia. Garrett's smile vanished. I'm not going to hurt them. I would never hurt a child. Sarah's eyes bored into his. But the people you work for, the ones who paid you to betray your country, they don't have my principles. And right now they're wondering if you've talked. They're wondering if you've given them up. I haven't. They don't know that. And when they get nervous, they clean house. Everyone who might be a liability, everyone who might talk. Sarah paused. Everyone connected to those who might talk. Garrett's face went white. Your wife, your daughter. Right now they think you're on a mission. They don't know you've been captured, but soon the wrong person is going to notice you're missing. And then, she let the sentence hang. Garrett's hands were shaking. You're bluffing. Call it. Silence stretched between them. 10 seconds, 20, 30. Then Garrett broke. What do you want to know? Cole felt his pulse quicken. It was working. She had cracked him in less than 5 minutes. Sarah didn't react. Her expression remained stone. Start at the beginning. Who recruited you? I never met him face to face. Everything was through intermediaries. Dead drops, encrypted messages. Garrett swallowed hard. But the money came from a shell company, traced back to defense contractors. Big ones. Names. Meridian Defense Solutions. That's the main one, but they're connected to others. A whole network. Cole stepped forward. Meridian, that's a legitimate contractor. They have billions in government contracts. That's the point. Garrett's voice was bitter. You think war is about ideology, about freedom. It's about money. Always has been. These companies make fortunes off conflict. Every soldier killed means new equipment orders. Every region destabilized means new security contracts. Sarah's jaw tightened. So they sabotage missions, extend the war, keep the money flowing. Not just sabotage. They control information, intelligence. They decide which missions succeed and which ones fail, which soldiers live and which ones die. Garrett looked at her. You've been hunting terrorists for years, but the real enemy has been in Washington the whole time. Cole felt sick. Indeed, how high does this go? Higher than you want to know. Try me. Garrett hesitated, then spoke a name that made the room go cold. Colonel James Hartford, Deputy Director of JSOC. Cole's legs went weak. Hartford. He had met the man, briefed by him, trusted him. That's impossible, Hayes said from the door. Hartford is a decorated officer, 30 years of service. He's the one who recruited me. Garrett's voice was steady now, like confessing had lifted a weight. He approached me 3 years ago, said I could make a difference, make some money on the side. All I had to do was provide information. Nothing that would hurt American soldiers directly. Jenkins is dead because of you, Cole growled. I didn't know. You knew exactly what you were doing. Sarah raised her hand. Cole fell silent. Hartford, is he the top? No, he's a middleman, takes orders from someone else. Who? Garrett shook his head. I don't know, I never knew, but Hartford called him the architect, someone with enough power to move pieces across the entire military. Sarah stood. Her chair scraped against the concrete floor. We need to move on Hartford, now, before he realizes Garrett is talking. Cole nodded. I'll call General Cross. Get authorization. No. Cole stopped. What? We can't go through normal channels. If Hartford has people inside JSOC, he has people everywhere. The moment we file a report, he'll know. Sarah's eyes were hard. We do this ourselves, quiet, off the books. Hayes stepped forward. You're talking about going after a colonel, a deputy director, without authorization. That's not a mission. That's a court-martial. Would you rather let him keep selling out our soldiers? No one answered. Sarah turned to Cole. Master Chief, I need operators I can trust, people who won't ask questions, people who understand that sometimes the rules don't apply. Cole thought about Jenkins, about the 12 hostages, about every soldier who had died because someone in Washington decided their lives were worth less than a profit margin. How many do you need? 4, plus you and Hayes. I can get you 4. Sarah nodded, then swayed slightly. Her face had gone even paler. Cole caught her arm. Now, will you see a medic? Fine, she pulled free. But we move in 6 hours. Hartford is at a conference in Kabul, private security forum, lots of contractors, lots of shadows to hide in. 6 hours isn't enough time. 6 hours is all we have. After that, Garrett's absence gets noticed. Sarah walked to the door, stopped, turned back. And Master Chief, what we're about to do, there's no coming back from it. If we fail, we're traitors. If we succeed, we're still probably traitors. The only difference is whether we're alive to face the consequences. Cole met her eyes. I've followed orders my whole career, trusted the system, believed in the chain of command. His jaw tightened. But the chain of command killed my people. So right now, I trust you more than I trust anyone in Washington. Sarah held his gaze for a long moment. Something passed between them. An understanding. Get your team, she said. Meet me at Hangar 7 in 5 hours. She walked out. Cole turned to Hayes. You heard the lady. This is insane. Probably, Piang. We could all end up in Leavenworth. Probably. Hayes shook his head, then grinned and, hell, I never liked Hartford anyway. 3 hours later, Sarah was in the medical bay getting her arm properly treated when General Cross found her. He stood in the doorway watching the medic stitch her wound. Captain Mitchell. General, my son is alive because of you. He's alive because your operators did their jobs. Cross stepped into the room. His eyes were red. He hadn't slept. Probably hadn't eaten either. But something in his posture had changed. The desperation was gone, replaced by something harder. I know what you're planning. Sarah didn't react. Serpa. Hartford, the conspiracy, going after him without authorization. Cross moved closer. Cole briefed me. Sarah looked at the medic. Leave us. The medic hesitated, then left. The door closed. If you're here to stop me, I'm here to help. Sarah's eyes narrowed. You could lose everything, your career, your pension, your freedom. My son almost lost his life because of these people. Cross's voice shook with controlled rage. Every soldier who died because of their betrayal, their blood is on Hartford's hands. On all of their hands. He stepped closer. I've spent 30 years following orders, trusting the system, and the system let a traitor rise to the top of JSOC. What are you offering? Resources? authorization codes, air support if you need it. Cross paused. And something else, something that might help. What? There's a file. Classified, eyes only. I've had it for 3 months. I found it during a routine audit, buried in a system nobody checks anymore. He handed her a flash drive. Names, dates, transactions, everything connecting Meridian Defense to officers inside the Pentagon. Sarah took the drive. Why didn't you report this? Because I didn't know who to trust. The file mentions dozens of officers, senators, defense officials. Anyone I reported to could have been compromised. Cross's jaw tightened. I've been sitting on a bomb for 3 months waiting for someone who could help me detonate it. And now I've met Specter 6, and I'm betting everything on you. Sarah studied his face, saw the fear, saw the determination, saw a man who had nothing left to lose. General, if this goes wrong, I'll take the fall. You and your team were following my orders. Direct orders from a 3-star general. He straightened. That's my gift to you. Plausible deniability. And if it goes right, Cross smiled. It was tired, grim, but real. Then maybe we start cleaning house. One traitor at a time. Sarah stood, extended her hand. Thank you, sir. Cross shook it, firm, resolute. Thank me when Hartford is in chains. 5 hours after the extraction, 6 operators gathered in Hangar 7. Cole, Hayes, Webb. 2 SEALs named Reeves and Chen, and Sarah, her arm freshly bandaged, her eyes sharp as ever. Here's what we know, Sarah said. Colonel James Hartford is attending a private security conference at the Serena Hotel in Kabul. High-end venue, lots of contractors, lots of private security. He's scheduled to give a keynote address tomorrow morning, but tonight he's attending a private dinner with executives from Meridian Defense. Webb crossed his arms. So we grab him at the dinner. No, too many witnesses, too many guns. Sarah pulled up a schematic on her tablet. Hartford has a suite on the 4th floor. After the dinner, he'll return there alone. That's our window. Hayes studied the layout. Security by private contractors, Meridian's people, probably 6 to 8 in the building, plus Hartford's personal detail. So we're looking at 10 to 12 hostiles minimum. More like 15. Sarah's expression didn't change. But they won't be expecting us, Reeves leaned forward. Rules of engagement. Non-lethal if possible. We need Hartford alive. But if someone gets in your way, she paused. Do what you have to do. Cole nodded. Extraction. Bird on standby 3 blocks east. Once we have Hartford, we move fast. No stops. Straight back to Bagram. And then we make him talk, just like Garrett. Sarah looked at each of them in turn. Any questions? Chen raised his hand. Just one. What happens if this doesn't work? If Hartford has more protection than we think, if the whole thing goes sideways. Sarah met his eyes. Then we improvise. That's what we do. Chen nodded slowly. Good enough for me. Gear up. We move in 1 hour. The streets of Kabul were quiet at midnight. Not peaceful. Never peaceful. But quiet in the way that cities get when everyone with sense is hiding. The team moved in 2 vehicles. Civilian, unmarked. Nothing to draw attention. Cole sat next to Sarah in the lead car. She was checking her weapon for the 3rd time. Methodical, focused. You've done this before, he said. Gone after one of our own. Once, a long time ago. What happened? Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then, I found out that monsters don't always wear enemy uniforms. Before Cole could respond, the driver spoke. 2 minutes out. Sarah put her weapon away. Remember, we need Hartford alive. Everything else is secondary. The vehicle stopped a block from the hotel. The team dismounted and moved through the shadows. 6 ghosts sliding through the night. They hit the service entrance first. 2 guards, down in seconds, non-lethal. Zip ties and gags. Inside the hotel was elegant and empty. Most guests had retired for the night. The security presence was light on the ground floor. 4th floor, Sarah whispered into her comms. Stay tight. They took the stairs, 2 at a time, silent as death. 3rd floor, clear. 4th floor, 2 guards at the stairwell door. Sarah signaled. Reeves and Chen moved forward. Quick, efficient. The guards crumpled. The hallway stretched ahead. Hartford's suite was at the end. Two more guards outside the door. Sarah held up two fingers, then pointed at Hayes and Webb. They moved. Hayes hit the first guard with a chokehold. Webb took the second. Both went down without a sound. Sarah approached the door, listened. Voices inside. Hartford and someone else. She held up one finger, then made a motion. Breach. Cole kicked the door. It flew open. The team flooded in. Hartford was sitting in a chair, drink in hand. Across from him sat a woman in civilian clothes. Dark hair, sharp eyes. She stood the moment the door burst open. "Don't move!" Hayes shouted, rifle trained on Hartford. The colonel didn't flinch. He set his drink down slowly, deliberately. Then he smiled. "Specter 6, I was wondering when you'd show up." Sarah's blood went cold. He knew. He had been waiting. "Hands where I can see them. Both of you." Hartford raised his hands. The woman did the same. "You're making a mistake," Hartford said calmly. "A very big mistake. The only mistake was letting you breathe this long." Sarah moved forward, zip ties ready. "Colonel James Hartford, you are under arrest for treason against the United States of America." "Treason," Hartford laughed. "Is that what Garrett told you, that I'm a traitor?" "He told us everything, Meridian, the conspiracy, the soldiers you got killed. He told you what he was supposed to tell you." Hartford's smile widened. "Did you really think I didn't know he would break? I've been running this operation for 15 years. I don't leave loose ends." Sarah stopped. Something was wrong. Very wrong. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the fact that you just walked into a trap." Hartford nodded toward the window. "Look outside." Cole moved to the window, looked down. His stomach dropped. Vehicles, dozens of them, blocking every street around the hotel. Armed men pouring out, moving into position. "You see," Hartford continued, "Garrett was useful, but he was also a liability. He knew too much, talked too much. So I gave him a script, told him exactly what to say if he was captured." Sarah's mind raced. The tunnel, the compromised entrance. "You planned all of it." "I planned everything, the hostages, the rescue, you coming after me." Hartford stood slowly, hands still raised, but confidence radiating from every pore. "Do you know how long I've been trying to identify Specter? 6 years. You've been a thorn in my side for years, taking out my assets, disrupting my operations, but I could never find you. Until now. So this was bait. This was a gift. 12 hostages I could afford to lose. A traitor I could afford to burn, and all to draw you out." Hartford's eyes gleamed, and it worked perfectly. Cole turned from the window. "We've got maybe 2 minutes before they breach." Sarah's jaw tightened. "How many? 50, maybe more. 50 against 6. No air support, no backup." Hartford laughed again. "You can't fight your way out, and you can't run. The moment you step outside, my men will cut you down." Sarah looked at him, at the woman still standing silently beside him, at the window and the army beyond it. Then she smiled. Hartford's confidence flickered. "What's funny? You think you're smart. You think you've planned for everything." Sarah moved closer to him. "But you made one mistake." "Oh, what's that?" "You assumed I came here to arrest you." Before Hartford could react, Sarah's hand shot out. She grabbed the woman beside him and pulled her close, pressing her sidearm against the woman's temple. "Everyone freeze." The room went still. Hartford's face changed. For the first time, fear crept into his eyes. "Let her go." "Who is she, Hartford? Why do you care so much about some random woman at a private dinner?" "She's nobody, just a contractor." "You're lying." Sarah pressed the gun harder. "I've been reading faces for 15 years, and right now your face says this woman is everything to you." The woman spoke for the first time. Her voice was calm, controlled. "My name is Elizabeth Hartford. I'm his daughter." Cole's eyes went wide. Daughter. The one piece of his life he actually cares about. Sarah's grip didn't loosen. The only thing that can hurt him. Hartford's mask crumbled. "Don't. Please. She has nothing to do with this. Neither did Jenkins. Neither did the hundreds of soldiers your conspiracy killed." Sarah's voice was ice. "But here we are. What do you want?" "I want you to call off your men. All of them, right now. I can't. You have 10 seconds. They won't listen to me once an operation starts. Then find a way to stop it. Sarah's finger tightened on the trigger. Or watch your daughter die. The room was frozen. Every operator had their weapon trained on Hartford. The colonel stood paralyzed, his eyes locked on his daughter. Elizabeth spoke again. Father, do what she says. Beth, I know what you've done. I've always known. Her voice cracked. And I've hated myself for staying silent, for pretending I didn't see the blood on your hands. Tears streamed down her face. End this. Please. End it now. Hartford stared at his daughter. Something broke in his face. The armor of years finally shattering. He reached slowly into his pocket, pulled out a radio. All units, stand down. Repeat, stand down. Static. Then a voice. Sir, confirm. Confirmed. Pull back. Everyone pull back. Silence. Then the sound of engines starting. Vehicles moving. The army outside withdrawing. Sarah didn't release Elizabeth. Not yet. Now you're going to tell me everything. Every name, every transaction, every soldier you betrayed. She leaned close to Hartford's ear. And if you lie to me even once, I'll make sure your daughter watches what happens next. Hartford's shoulders slumped. The fight drained out of him. Fine, you win. His voice was hollow, defeated. I'll tell you everything. Sarah finally released Elizabeth. The young woman stumbled forward, sobbing into her hands. Cole moved to Hartford. Zip-tied his wrists. Colonel James Hartford, you are under arrest. Hartford said nothing. He just stared at his daughter with the eyes of a man who had lost everything. Sarah walked to the window. The streets below were emptying. The trap had been sprung and failed. But she knew this wasn't over. Hartford was just a piece. The architect was still out there, still pulling strings, still deciding which soldiers lived and which ones died. She turned back to her team. Let's move. We've got a long night ahead. And somewhere in the darkness beyond Kabul, the real enemy was watching, waiting, planning. The helicopter carrying a Hartford touched down at Bagram just as dawn broke over the mountains. Sarah hadn't slept, hadn't eaten. The wound on her arm throbbed with every heartbeat, but she ignored it. Pain was just noise, and right now she needed silence. Hartford sat across from her, zip-tied and silent. The arrogance from the hotel was gone. In its place was something else. Resignation. The look of a man who knew his empire was crumbling. Cole leaned close to Sarah. Cross has a secure room ready. No cameras, no records. Good. How hard do you want to push him? Sarah looked at Hartford, met his eyes. As hard as it takes. They moved Hartford through back corridors, away from prying eyes. General Cross waited at the door of the interrogation room. His face was granite. Captain Mitchell, a word. Guerra stepped aside. Cross lowered his voice. The flash drive you gave me, I had my people analyze it. His jaw tightened. It's worse than we thought. How much worse? Meridian Defense is just the tip. There are other connections to 3 other defense contractors, 2 senators, a deputy secretary at the Pentagon. Cross paused. And someone inside the CIA. Sarah felt her blood chill. CIA. We don't have a name yet, but the financial trails point to someone high up. Very high up. The architect. Maybe, or maybe just another piece. Cross handed her a tablet. This came in 20 minutes ago, encrypted, addressed specifically to you. Sarah took the tablet. On the screen was a single message. You're getting close, but not close enough. Walk away now and your team lives. Continue and I will burn everything you love. No signature, no return address, just the threat. Cole read over her shoulder. They know we have Hartford. They've known since we grabbed him. Sarah deleted the message. They're scared. That means we're on the right track. Or it means they're about to hit us with everything they have. Same thing. Sarah turned back to the interrogation room. Let's find out what Hartford knows. The room was cold. Concrete walls, single chair. Hartford sat slumped, looking smaller than he had in Kabul. The uniform was the same, but the man inside it had shrunk. Sarah pulled up a chair and sat across from him, close enough to see every flicker in his eyes. The architect. I want a name. Hartford laughed. It was hollow, empty. You think I know who the architect is? I've worked for this organization for 15 years. I've never met them, never even heard their voice. But you know something. You have to. I know how the system works. Money flows through shell companies. Orders come through intermediaries. Everything is compartmentalized. He shook his head. That's how they've survived this long. Nobody knows everything. Nobody can betray the whole network. Then give me what you do know. Hartford was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke, his voice tired. There's a meeting, happens once a year, different location every time. All the major players gather, contractors, politicians, military brass. The architect attends in person. Sarah leaned forward. When's the next one? Tomorrow night, a private estate outside of Islamabad. Cole spoke from behind her. That's Pakistani territory. We can't operate there without authorization. I'm aware. Sarah kept her eyes on Hartford. Who else will be there? Everyone who matters. If you want to take down the whole network in one strike, that's your chance. Hartford paused. But you'll never get in. Security is airtight. Biometric scans, armed guards. The only way through that door is with an invitation. Then get me one. Hartford stared at her. You're insane. I've been told. Even if I could get you in, you'd be walking into a room full of people who want you dead. The moment they recognize you, they won't. Sarah stood. I've spent my entire career being invisible. One more night won't be a problem. She walked to the door, stopped, turned back. One more thing. Your daughter, Elizabeth, where is she? Hartford's face changed. Fear crept back into his eyes. Why, Paul? Because she's the only leverage that works on you. And right now I need you compliant. She's at the hotel, under guard. Not anymore. Sarah's voice was cold. She's in protective custody, my custody, and she stays there until this is over. Hartford's hands trembled. If you hurt her, I already told you, I don't hurt innocents, but the people you work for don't share my principles. Sarah opened the door. Help me take them down and I'll make sure Elizabeth walks away from this. Refuse and I'll hand her back to Meridian's people and let them decide what to do with the liability. It was a bluff. Sarah would never actually do it, but Hartford didn't know that. He broke. Fine, I'll get you an invitation, but I need access to secure communications. You'll have it. Supervised. Sarah stepped through the door. You have 2 hours. Cole followed her into the corridor. You can't seriously be planning to walk into that meeting alone. I'm not going alone. Then who? Sarah stopped. Turned to face him. You, Hayes, Webb, the same team that got us this far. That's 4 people against an army. 4 people who've already done the impossible twice. Her eyes met his. I know what I'm asking. If you want out, say so now. No judgment, no hard feelings. Cole was quiet for a long moment. Then he shook his head. I've followed you into hell twice. Might as well make it 3 times. Sarah almost smiled. Almost. Get the team ready. We brief in 1 hour. General Cross provided everything they needed. Transport, weapons, intelligence on the estate. Sarah absorbed it all, mapping the layout in her mind, identifying vulnerabilities, planning contingencies. But something nagged at her. Something Hartford had said. Someone inside the CIA. She pulled up the files Cross had given her. Names, faces, financial records. She scrolled through them, looking for patterns, connections, anything that might point to the architect's identity. Then she saw it. A transaction. 3 years ago, $2 million transferred to a shell company in the Caymans. The authorization signature was redacted, but the origin was clear. CIA director's discretionary fund. Sarah's hands went cold. The CIA director, Marcus Webb's godfather, the man who had written her letter of recommendation when she applied for Tier 1 training. Director Thomas Crane. She stared at the screen, hoping she was wrong, praying she was wrong, but the numbers didn't lie. She pulled up more records, cross-referenced dates, checked financial flows. Every trail led to the same place. The same man. Thomas Crane was the architect, the man who had shaped her career, who had sent her on mission after mission, who had access to every classified operation in the American military. He had been controlling it all from the beginning. Sarah sat back. For the first time in years, she felt something she thought she had forgotten. Fear. Not fear for herself. Fear for what this meant. If Crane was the architect, then nothing she had done was real. Every mission, every extraction, every life saved, all of it had been orchestrated by the same man who was selling soldiers to the highest bidder. Had she been saving people, or had she been playing exactly the role he wanted her to play? The door opened. Cole stepped in. Team's ready. We brief in 10. He stopped when he saw her face. What's wrong? Sarah handed him the tablet. Read it. Cole scrolled through the files. His expression darkened with every page. When he finished, he looked up. Tell me this isn't what I think it is. I wish I could. Crane, Thomas Crane, the director of the CIA. Cole's voice was barely a whisper. He's been running this the whole time. Everything points to it. The money, the access, the ability to cover tracks. Sarah stood. He's the only one with enough power to make this work. So what do? We go to that meeting, we confirm it's him, and then we take him down. Take down the CIA director? Cole laughed. It was bitter. Hollow. That's not a mission, that's a coup. It's justice, Sarah's eyes burned. Every soldier who died because of this conspiracy, every family that got a folded flag instead of their son, their blood is on his hands. She stepped closer. I didn't join the military to serve traitors. And I'm not going to stop now because the traitor happens to have a big office. Cole stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. All right, let's go kill a director. The briefing was short. Sarah laid out the plan. The team listened. Nobody questioned. They had come too far to turn back now. 12 hours later, they were in Pakistani airspace. The estate was located in the hills outside Islamabad. Private, isolated, surrounded by armed guards and electronic surveillance. Getting in would be nearly impossible, which was exactly why they weren't going to get in through the front door. Hartford had delivered as promised, an invitation for a Mr. James Wilson, a mid-level executive from a subsidiary of Meridian Defense. The identity was bulletproof. Background, references, financial history, everything checked out. Sarah would be going in as Wilson's assistant. Young, female, invisible. Cole and the team would hold position outside, ready to extract her the moment things went sideways. You'll have 15 minutes once you're inside, Cole said as they reviewed the final details. After that, security sweeps the building. You need to be out before that happens. I'll be out in 10. What if Crane isn't there? Then I find proof and we come back with a bigger team. Sarah checked her concealed weapon. But he'll be there. This meeting only happens once a year. He wouldn't miss it. The vehicle stopped a mile from the estate. Sarah stepped out. The night air was cold, sharp. Cole grabbed her arm. Sarah, wait. She turned. Whatever happens in there, I need you to know something. He paused. You're the best soldier I've ever served with. And if this is the end of the road, it's been an honor. Sarah looked at him, at the man who had followed her into the impossible without hesitation, who had trusted her when he had every reason not to. It's not the end, Master Chief, not yet. She turned and walked toward the estate. The security checkpoint was exactly where Hartford said it would be. 2 guards, biometric scanner, armed response team on standby. Sarah approached with her invitation. Her heart was steady, her face calm. Mr. Wilson's assistant, she said. He's already inside. The guard checked his tablet, found the name, ran her prints through the scanner. 10 seconds, 20, 30. The scanner beeped green. Proceed. Sarah walked through, into the lion's den. The estate was filled with people she recognized, faces from news broadcasts, boardroom photos, Senate hearings. The rich and powerful gathered in one place to divide up the spoils of war. She moved through the crowd invisible in her role. A server, a nobody, exactly as planned. Then she saw him. Thomas Crane stood near the fireplace, drink in hand, laughing at something a Meridian executive had said. 62 years old, silver hair, distinguished features, the face of American intelligence, the face of a traitor. Sarah's blood boiled. Every instinct screamed at her to pull her weapon and end it right there. But she held back. She needed proof, something that would hold up beyond her word. She moved closer, close enough to hear. Crane was speaking to a group of men, defense contractors, politicians, all of them complicit. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for your patience during this difficult period. The Hartford situation was unfortunate, but it's been contained. What about the operator? One of the contractors asked. The one they call Specter 6. Crane smiled. Being handled as we speak. By tomorrow morning, she'll be nothing but a memory. Sarah's heart stopped. Handled as we speak. Cole, Hayes, Webb, the team waiting outside. It was a trap. Again, she moved toward the exit, fast but controlled. Can't panic, can't draw attention. Her earpiece crackled. Static. Then Cole's voice. Strained. Sarah, contact. They hit us. Ambush. The signal cut out. Sarah broke into a run. She burst through the service entrance, gun already in her hand. The night exploded with gunfire. Muzzle flashes in the darkness. Shouts, screams, the sounds of battle. She sprinted toward the extraction point. Her team was pinned down behind their vehicle. Heavily armed hostiles closing in from all sides. Sarah didn't hesitate. She opened fire. 2 hostiles dropped. 3, 4. She moved like water flowing through the cab, each shot precise, each movement deliberate. Cole looked up, saw her. His face was covered in blood. We need to move now. How many? Too many. They knew we were coming. Of course they did. Crane had known from the beginning. The invitation, the meeting, all of it was bait. Fall back to the secondary extraction. They moved, covering fire, leapfrog retreat. Classic tactics executed under impossible conditions. Hayes took a round in the shoulder. Webb dragged him forward. Reeves laid down, suppressing fire while Chen cleared the path. Sarah brought up the rear, her rifle never stopping. They reached a ridge. Below a valley. Beyond that, the Pakistani border. We can't make it, Webb shouted. They'll run us down before we're halfway across. Sarah looked back. Headlights, vehicles, an army converging on their position. Then she looked at her team. Battered, bleeding, but still fighting. I'll hold them, she said. Cole grabbed her arm. The hell you will. Someone has to cover the retreat. It's the only way. Then I'll do it. No. Sarah pulled free. You get them home, Master Chief. That's an order. You don't outrank me. Tonight I do. She shoved her rifle into his hands. Took his sidearm instead. Get to the border. Call Cross. Tell him everything. The files, Crane, all of it. Sarah, Vincent. She used his first name. First time ever. I made a promise. No one gets left behind. And I'm keeping it. She looked at the team, at the men who had followed her into hell. Get them home. That's all I ask. Cole's eyes were wet. His jaw trembled. But he nodded. You better survive this. I always do. She turned and ran back toward the enemy. Behind her, Cole rallied the team. They moved, down the ridge, into the valley, toward safety. Sarah found a position on the high ground. Good sightlines, natural cover, a place where one person could hold against many. For a while, the vehicle stopped. Men poured out, spread into formation, started advancing. Sarah counted 20, 30, more behind them. She checked her ammunition. 3 magazines, 90 rounds, not enough to win, but enough to buy time. She raised her weapon. Come on then, she whispered. Let's see what you've got. The first shot dropped the lead man. The second took his partner. Then all hell broke loose. Gunfire erupted from every direction. Bullets snapped past her head, chewed into the rock around her. She returned fire steady and precise, making every round count. 10 down, 20 rounds left. 15 down, 15 rounds left. They were getting closer, flanking, trying to surround her. She moved. New position, fresh angle, kept shooting, 20 hostiles down. 5 rounds left. Then the rifle clicked empty. Sarah dropped the weapon, drew her knife. The first man came around the rock. She buried the blade in his throat before he could scream. The second swung at her with his rifle. She ducked, grabbed his arm, twisted. The bone snapped. He went down. The third was bigger, stronger. He tackled her to the ground. They struggled, rolled. He got his hands around her throat. Sarah felt her vision darken. her lungs burning. She reached for the knife, found it, drove it upward. The man collapsed on top of her, dead. She shoved him off, gasped for air, tried to stand. A boot caught her in the ribs. She went down hard. More men, surrounding her, rifles pointed. That's enough. The voice was calm, familiar, horrifying. Tom Crane stepped through the circle of soldiers. He looked at Sarah like a scientist studying a specimen. Specter 6, at last we meet in person. He crouched down beside her. You've caused me a great deal of trouble. Do you know how many operations you've disrupted? How many assets you've eliminated? Sarah spat blood at his feet. Not enough. Crane smiled. No, not nearly enough. He stood. Take her, I want her alive. Hands grabbed her, dragged her upright, bound her wrists. She didn't fight. There was nothing left to fight with. As they pulled her toward the vehicle, she looked toward the valley. Empty, dark, silent. Cole and the team were gone. Safe. On their way home. She had kept her promise. Now she just had to survive long enough to keep one more. Crane walked beside her. You're probably wondering why I'm not killing you. The thought crossed my mind. Because you're valuable, Captain Mitchell. More valuable than you know. He leaned close. You've spent years being my most effective weapon. You just didn't know it. Every target I pointed you at, an enemy of my organization. Every extraction you completed, removal of a witness I needed gone. Sarah's blood went cold. You're lying. Think about it. Every mission you were assigned, every person you saved, every target you eliminated. Crane's smile widened. I chose them all. You were never fighting for your country. You were fighting for me. The words hit like bullets. Worse than bullets. Every mission, every life. All of it manipulated by this man. I'm going to kill you, Sarah whispered. Perhaps, but not today. Crane gestured to his men. Put her in the vehicle. We have a long journey ahead. They shoved her into the back of an armored truck. The door slammed shut. Darkness swallowed her whole. But as the vehicle started moving, Sarah felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Because Crane had made a mistake. He had let her live. And that meant she still had a chance. The armored truck bounced over rough terrain. Sarah sat in darkness, hands bound behind her back, counting seconds. Measuring distance. Mapping the route in her mind. Crane thought he had won. Thought capturing her meant the end. He was wrong. Sarah had been in worse situations, tighter restraints, deeper holes. She had escaped from an ISIS prison in Raqqa with nothing but a broken piece of glass and sheer will. This was just another cage. And every cage had a weakness. She twisted her wrists. The zip ties were tight but not impossible. Whoever had bound her was sloppy, overconfident. They assumed a woman half their size couldn't break free. Their mistake. She worked the ties against the edge of the metal bench. Slow, methodical. The plastic dug into her skin. Blood made her wrists slick. Good. Lubrication. The truck hit a pothole. She used the jolt to mask her movement, jerking her hands apart with all her strength. The zip tie snapped. Sarah stayed still, waited, listened. 2 guards in the back with her, both armed, both watching the door, not her. Sloppy. She counted to 3, then moved. Her elbow caught the first guard in the throat. He went down, choking, clutching his crushed windpipe. The second guard turned, rifle rising, but Sarah was already inside his reach. She grabbed the barrel, twisted, drove the stock into his face. His nose shattered. He collapsed. Sarah stripped the first guard of his sidearm, checked the magazine, full. Good. She moved to the back door. Locked from outside, no handle, reinforced steel. But the roof hatch wasn't. She climbed on top of the bench, pushed the hatch open, and pulled herself through. Wind tore at her face. The convoy was moving fast. 4 vehicles, total headlights, cutting through the darkness. She looked ahead. Mountains in the distance. A compound of some kind. That was where they were taking her. That was where Crane would be waiting. Sarah dropped back down. She had maybe 10 minutes before they arrived. 10 minutes to figure out how to turn this disaster into a victory. She searched the unconscious guards. Found a radio, a knife, 2 grenades. Not much, but enough. She keyed the radio to a frequency she had memorized years ago. Emergency extraction. Last resort. Cole would be monitoring. Specter 6 to any friendly unit. Specter 6 to any friendly unit. Do you copy? Dawn static. Long seconds of nothing. Then Cole's voice. Strained. Desperate. Beautiful. Sarah, Jesus Christ. Sarah, is that you? I'm alive, moving toward a compound, approximately 12 miles northeast of the ambush site. 4 vehicles. Unknown number of hostiles. We're coming. Just hold on. Negative. Do not approach. I repeat, do not approach. The hell I won't. Vincent, listen to me. Sarah's voice dropped. Crane is there, the director, the architect. If you come in guns blazing, he'll disappear. We'll lose him forever. So what's the plan? I'm going to take him down from the inside. Alone you're injured, outnumbered, outgunned. I'm Specter 6. Sarah almost smiled. This is what I do. Silence on the line. Then Cole's voice quieter now. What do you need? 30 minutes. Give me 30 minutes. If you don't hear from me, call Cross. Tell him everything. Burn it all down. And if you're dead, then make sure Crane joins me. She killed the radio before he could respond. The convoy slowed. They were approaching the compound. Sarah moved back to the roof hatch, pulling herself up just enough to see. The compound was military grade. High walls, guard towers, floodlights, a fortress designed to keep people out or keep them in. The gates opened. The convoy rolled through. Sarah dropped back down and played dead, positioning herself between the 2 unconscious guards. The truck stopped. Doors open. Voices outside. Get the prisoner. The director wants her immediately. Hands grabbed her ankles, dragged her out. She let herself go limp, dead weight, eyes closed. She's out cold. Must have hit her head during transport. Doesn't matter. Carry her. They lifted her between 2 guards' arms over shoulders, feet dragging. Sarah kept her eyes cracked just enough to see. Counting doors, mapping corridors, building a picture. They stopped at a heavy steel door, biometric lock. One of the guards pressed his palm to the scanner. The door opened. They carried her through. Another door. Finally a room. They dropped her on the floor. Hard. She didn't react. Leave us. Crane's voice. Cold. Controlled. Footsteps retreated. The door closed. Sarah waited, listening. One set of breathing. Crane was alone. She opened her eyes. He stood by a desk watching her with that same clinical expression, like she was a problem to be solved, not a person. You can stop pretending, he said. I know you're awake. Sarah pushed herself up, slowly, every muscle screaming. How? Because you're Specter 6. You don't stay unconscious. Crane smiled. I've studied you for years. Every mission, every extraction, every kill. I probably know you better than you know yourself. Then you know I'm going to destroy you. Perhaps, but not today. He walked closer. Today we're going to have a conversation, a real conversation, about who you are, about what you've become, about the choice you're going to make. I don't make deals with traitors. Everyone makes deals, Captain Mitchell. The only question is the price. Crane stopped a few feet from her. Let me tell you a story about a young analyst who joined the CIA with dreams of serving his country, who watched as politicians sent good soldiers to die for bad reasons, who saw billions of dollars wasted on wars that never ended. Spare me the sob story. It's not a sob story, it's an explanation. Crane's eyes hardened. I realized early that the system was broken, beyond repair, so I decided to build something new. A network that could actually make decisions, that could allocate resources efficiently, that could end conflicts instead of prolonging them. By selling out American soldiers, by making hard choices, sacrificing the few to save the many. Crane shook his head. Do you know how many wars I've prevented, how many genocides I've stopped, how many lives I've saved by being willing to do what others wouldn't? And the soldiers who died because of you, Jenkins, the hostages, my brother? The last word hung in the air like a blade. Crane's expression flickered, just for a moment. Your brother, Thomas Mitchell, captured in Iraq, 2007. Sarah's blood turned to ice. What do you know about my brother? I know everything, Captain, including the fact that he's not dead. The world stopped. Sarah couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process what she had just heard. You're lying. Am I? Crane reached into his desk, pulled out a photograph, slid it across to her. Sarah looked down. Tommy, older, thinner, but unmistakably her brother. The same eyes, the same jaw, the same scar above his left eyebrow from when they were kids. He was alive. Where is he? Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. Safe for now. Crane tucked the photograph away. He's been my guest for the past 15 years. A bargaining chip I never thought I'd need to use. If you've heard him, he's fine, well-treated, comfortable. Crane leaned against the desk. And he can stay that way. All you have to do is walk away. Walk away. Disappear. Forget everything you've learned. Let me continue my work. Crane spread his hands. In exchange, your brother goes free. You'll never see me again. And you can finally give your mother the closure she never got. Sarah stared at him, at the monster wearing a human face, at the man who had stolen 15 years of her brother's life. My mother is dead. I know, but you're not. Crane's voice softened. Think about it, Captain. Everything you've sacrificed, everything you've lost, you can end it right now. Take your brother and walk away. Sarah looked at the photograph, Tommy's face, the brother she had mourned for 15 years, the ghost that had driven her through every mission, every extraction, every kill. He was alive, and all she had to do was let a traitor go free. She closed her eyes, saw her mother's face, heard her voice, remembered the promise she had made at her graveside. I'll find him, Mom, no matter what it takes. She had found him. But not like this, never like this. Sarah opened her eyes, met Crane's gaze. No, Crane's smile faded. No. You think I'm going to let you keep killing soldiers, keep betraying my country, keep playing with other people's lives? Sarah stood, slowly, painfully. My brother would rather die than be used as a bargaining chip, and so would I. Then you've chosen death, for both of you. I've chosen to fight. Sarah's voice hardened, just like I always have. Crane sighed. Pity, you would have been useful. He reached for a button on his desk. Sarah moved. 15 feet separated them. She covered it in less than a second. Her fist caught Crane's wrist before he could press the button. She twisted. Bones cracked. Crane screamed. Sarah drove her elbow into his face. He staggered back. She followed relentless years of rage compressed into each strike. Jaw, ribs, solar plexus. Crane collapsed against the wall, blood streaming from his nose and mouth. He reached into his jacket, pulled a pistol. Sarah caught his arm, twisted the weapon free, turned it on him. Where is my brother? Crane coughed, laughed. You think killing me will save him? The moment I die, the failsafe activates. Everyone in my custody disappears. Permanently. Sarah pressed the gun against his forehead. Then give me the access codes, now. Or what, you'll shoot me? Crane's eyes gleamed. Go ahead, pull the trigger, but your brother dies with me. Sarah's finger trembled on the trigger. Every instinct screamed at her to end it, to put a bullet in this monster's brain and be done with it. But Tommy, 15 years, waiting, hoping, surviving. She couldn't kill him now, not when she was this close. She lowered the gun slightly. There has to be another way. There isn't. Crane straightened, wincing. My network is designed to survive my death. Kill me and every safe house, every prisoner, every piece of evidence disappears within the hour. The only way to save your brother is to let me go. Sarah's mind raced. There had to be something, some angle she hadn't considered. Then she saw it. The computer on Crane's desk, still logged in, still active. You're lying, she said slowly. You're not the only access point. That computer has the same codes, the same failsafe controls. Crane's face changed. Fear flickered in his eyes. I'm right, aren't I? Sarah moved toward the desk. All I have to do is access that terminal. You'll never crack the encryption. I don't have to. Sarah smiled. I have you. She grabbed Crane by the collar, dragged him to the desk, forced his hand onto the biometric scanner. The screen unlocked. No, Crane struggled. You don't understand what you're doing. Sarah scrolled through the files. Prisoner locations, safe house addresses, financial records, everything. And there it was. Subject Mitchell Thomas. Location Facility 17, Balochistan Province. Her brother's location, right there on the screen. She downloaded everything to a flash drive. Then she found the fail-safe protocol, examined it, understood it. One button. That's all it took. One button and every prisoner in Crane's network would be released. Every fail-safe disarmed. Every contingency neutralized. She pressed it. Crane screamed. No, do you have any idea what you've done? I've ended you. Sarah pulled the flash drive free. Your network is gone. Your prisoners are free, and you're going to spend the rest of your life in a cell. She raised the pistol, brought it down hard on Crane's skull. He collapsed, unconscious, bleeding, defeated. Sarah stood over him for a long moment. Then she keyed her radio. Specter 6 to Master Chief Cole. Do you copy? Cole's voice came back immediately. I copy, Sarah. What's happening? Crane is down. I have the location of every prisoner in his network, including my brother. Her voice broke slightly. I need extraction, and I need it now. We're already inbound, ETA 7 minutes. Make it 5. I don't know how long before his people realize what's happened. We'll make it. Just hold on. Sarah looked at the unconscious traitor at her feet, at the computer screen still glowing with evidence of his crimes, at the photograph of her brother still alive after all these years. 7 minutes. She could hold for 7 minutes. The first guard came through the door 3 minutes later. Sarah put 2 rounds in his chest before he cleared the threshold. The second guard was smarter. He stayed behind, coverblind, firing into the room. Sarah waited, patient, counted the shots. When his magazine ran dry, she moved. 1 shot, clean. More were coming. She could hear them in the corridor, shouting, organizing. She barricaded the door, flipped the desk, created a defensive position. 4 minutes. The door burst open. Sarah fired. Dropped 2. 3. The rest pulled back. Grenades. She still had the grenades. She pulled the pin on the first one, rolled it through the doorway. The explosion shook the building. Screams echoed down the corridor. 5 minutes. Her ammunition was running low. 1 magazine left, maybe 15 rounds. The door exploded inward. Flash bang, the world went white. Sarah fired blind, hit something, someone screamed. Then hands were grabbing her, pulling her down, pinning her to the floor. A boot pressed against her throat. She couldn't breathe. Hold her, the director will want to deal with this personally. The window shattered. Rope lines dropped. Black figures descended. Muzzle flashes lit up the room. The boot lifted from Sarah's throat. The guards collapsed around her. Cole's face appeared above her. Miss me, Sarah coughed, gasped for air. Took you long enough. He helped her up. Around them, the room was chaos. Bodies everywhere, smoke in the air, the sound of helicopters outside. Where's Crane? Sarah pointed to the unconscious figure behind the desk. Gift wrapped for you. Cole grinned, Remind me never to piss you off. They secured Crane, loaded him onto the helicopter. As they lifted off, Sarah looked down at the compound. Fires were breaking out. Explosions. The network was collapsing in on itself. It's over, Cole said. Sarah shook her head. Not yet. I need to get to Facility 17, Balochistan Province. That's Pakistani territory, again. I don't care if it's on the moon. Sarah's eyes burned. My brother is there, and I'm bringing him home. 12 hours later, Sarah stood outside a concrete bunker in the mountains of Balochistan. Cole and the team had secured the perimeter. The guards had surrendered without a fight once they learned Crane's network had fallen. She approached the door. Steel. Reinforced. Like all the others. But this one was different. This one held her brother. She entered the access code from Crane's files. The lock clicked open. The corridor beyond was dim, lined with cells. Most were empty, but at the end, 1 light still burned. Sarah walked forward. Each step felt like a lifetime. She reached the cell, looked through the small window. A man sat on a cot, thin, weathered, gray in his hair that hadn't been there 15 years ago. But she knew those eyes, would know them anywhere. Tommy, he looked up, confusion first, then recognition, then something that shattered her heart. Hope. Sarah, his voice was rough, broken from years of disuse. Sarah, is that really you? She opened the cell door, rushed in, threw her arms around him. He collapsed into her embrace, sobbing, shaking, a grown man crying like a child. I never stopped looking, Sarah whispered. Not one day, not one moment. I'm sorry it took so long. I'm so sorry. You came. Tommy's voice cracked. You actually came. I stopped believing anyone would. I'm here now. I'm here. She held him tighter. And I'm never letting you go again. They stayed like that for a long time, brother and sister, reunited after 15 years of darkness. Cole watched from the doorway. His eyes were wet. He didn't bother wiping them. Let's go home, he said quietly. Sarah helped Tommy to his feet, supported him as they walked down the corridor, out of the bunker, into the sunlight. He flinched, covered his eyes. It had been so long since he'd seen the sun. Easy, Sarah said. Take it slow. Tommy squinted at the sky, at the mountains, at the helicopter waiting to take them home. Mom, he asked, is she? Sarah shook her head. She's gone, Tommy, 5 years ago. His face crumbled. The grief hit him like a wave. But she never stopped believing, Sarah continued. Every night, every single night, she waited by the phone, waited for you to come home. Tears streamed down her face. She knew. She always knew you were alive. Tommy broke down completely. Sarah held him through it. Let him mourn, let him feel. Then she helped him toward the helicopter. Come on, she said. It's time to go home. 2 weeks later, Sarah stood in General Cross's office at the Pentagon. Crane was in federal custody awaiting trial. Hartford had flipped completely, providing testimony that would bring down dozens of corrupt officials. The network was destroyed. Cross handed her a folder. Your new orders. Congratulations, Colonel Mitchell. Sarah looked at the papers. Promotion, new command, a chance to rebuild. I'm not sure I want this. Nobody who deserves power ever wants it. Cross smiled. That's why I'm giving it to you. What about my team, Cole Hayes Webb? They're being taken care of. Medals, promotions, full recognition for their service. Cross paused. Hayes is already bragging to anyone who'll listen about the time he saved Specter 6. Sarah almost laughed. Almost. That's not exactly how I remember it. History is written by the survivors. Cross extended his hand. You've earned this, Colonel, more than anyone I've ever known. Sarah shook his hand. Thank you, sir. She walked out of the office, through the corridors of power, past men and women who would never know how close they had come to being ruled by monsters. Cole was waiting outside, leaning against the wall like he didn't have anywhere else to be. Colonel, huh? Apparently. Does this mean I have to salute you now? Try it and I'll break your arm. Cole grinned. There's the Specter 6 I know. They walked together toward the exit, toward the sunlight beyond. What now? Cole asked. Now I take my brother home. Help him heal. Try to remember what normal life feels like. Sounds boring. After the past 2 weeks, boring sounds perfect. They reached the doors, stepped outside. The Washington sun was warm. The sky was clear. It felt like the first day of something new. Sarah, Cole stopped, turned to face her. I need you to know something. What? Whatever happens next, wherever you end up, whatever you need. He paused. I'm there, always. No questions asked. Sarah looked at him. At this man who had followed her into the impossible, who had trusted her when he had every reason not to, who had become something more than a colleague, more than a soldier, a friend. I know, she said, and the same goes for you. She extended her hand. He took it, held it for a long moment. Then he smiled. Go take care of your brother, Colonel. The world can wait. Sarah turned and walked toward the car where Tommy was waiting. Her brother, alive, free, home. She slid into the driver's seat, looked at the man beside her. He was still thin, still fragile, but there was color in his cheeks now, light in his eyes. Ready? She asked. Tommy looked out the window. at the city he hadn't seen in 15 years, at the life he thought he'd never have again. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I think I am." Sarah started the car, pulled out of the parking lot, headed toward the highway. In the rearview mirror, the Pentagon shrank into the distance. The seat of power, the heart of everything she had fought for. But that was behind her now. Ahead was home, family, a future she had never dared to imagine. And for the first time in 15 years, Specter 6 allowed herself something she had denied for so long. Peace. The road stretched out before them. Miles of possibility, miles of hope. Sarah Mitchell had spent her life bringing soldiers home, keeping promises made in blood and fire, fighting battles that nobody else could fight. And now finally she had brought herself home too. She reached over, took her brother's hand, squeezed it tight. "I love you, Tommy." "I love you too, Sarah." He squeezed back. "Thank you for never giving up." Never. Her voice was steady, strong, certain. "Not on you, not on anyone, not ever." The car drove on, toward the horizon, toward tomorrow, and somewhere behind them in briefing rooms and barracks across the world, soldiers still whispered the name, still carved it into helmets and rifle stocks, still believed in the legend. Specter 6, not a ghost, not a myth, just a soldier who kept her promises, every single one.